Have you ever looked at your guitar strings and thought to yourself, wow, I'm a disgusting human being? It starts to build up with all this green and brown gunk, and then you find the same in between your frets. All of that nice finger cheese that you left behind. It likes to build up right next to the frets, giving your guitar a nice warm and gunky sound, just beautiful. So it's time for a restring. You're going to need the essentials: strings, a tuner, a cleaner, a wiper, a cutter, some pliers, oil, water, and the extra toasty Cheezits, of course. Step 1 is pretty easy. It's just to clean your guitar with your cleaner and your wiper. Here I'm using spray away glass cleaner and a towel wrapped around my finger. Yum. Sometimes I spray it right on the fretboard, sometimes I spray it on the towel, you know. There's probably a wrong way to do it, but I don't really care that much. There's really not much to be said about this step. I mean, the best thing about cleaning is that you know when you're done. And it looks like I'm not done, so time for round 2, I suppose. We all know the best things in life are free, so I chose to use my favorite free tool, my fingernail, to get into those deep crevices and to scrape off the excess gunk without having to worry about scratching the fretboard. And look at that, years of buildup eliminated by my own hand. And here we see the fruits of my labor. I've harvested all that sweet, sweet finger cheese off the fretboard. It's still pretty dirty, but at least I got off all the major chunks. The next step is to apply your oil. There are lots of different types of fretboard oil. The one you should be using depends on the type of guitar you have, what type of wood, what type of finish, and you just want to put it on there so that your frets don't dry out and crack and make bad and make you sad and think about the guitar that you once had. The next step is to open up your strings and put them where they're supposed to go. I like to start by placing my strings in the hole on the bridge, just so that I don't put the wrong string in the wrong place. The string packaging typically comes with a color code. They're each marked with a different color, so you know which string goes where. It's much easier to just follow this guide than to try to figure out which string is what based on thickness. For the next step, we're going to tie each string to the bridge. I take the bottom part of this string and I wrap it around the inside of the other part of the string, and then I go ahead and do another loop as well. This part can be a bit of a struggle because it's hard to grab onto those strings. But then I pull it tight, and as you can see, the rest of the string at the bottom is going towards the other strings. I do this so I can tuck the bottom of the string underneath the loop of the string next to it. The double loop definitely isn't mandatory, but I just like the way it looks, so I do it for every string. The G string's usually pretty tough, so I have to grab some pliers to pull it tight. Sometimes you'll see double loops on the 3 highest strings, and then on these 3 lowest strings, they just do a single loop, but I'm really dedicated to my craft, you know, I really love the way that the double loop works, so I'm gonna just do that even though I'm gonna struggle through it. And voila, I've done it. Don't worry if it looks loose right now, when we tune it up to pitch it'll tighten up. Now it's time to secure your strings to the headstock. I like to put the string through the top so that the tension is pulling upwards across the front of the guitar. For the 2 outer strings, you want to start your loop towards the inside of the headstock. This will make it so that when you add tension to the string, it will wind towards the outside of the guitar. After I tighten my loop, I like to pull the end of the string through the hole one more time. Make sure you're leaving a bit of slack so that you can get at least one full rotation when you actually tighten the strings to pitch. For the 4 inner strings, you want to start your loop from the outside going in so that it will wind towards the middle of the headstock. I really want that initial loop to be tight, so sometimes you have to turn the peg to make it so that you have the right angle to make it as tight as you can. Now that I've magically done the other 3 strings, it's time to tune it up. As you can see, the low E string is wrapping around towards the outside of the guitar, and the A string and the D string are wrapping around towards the inside of the guitar. This is super important for aesthetic purposes and I guess functional purposes as well, because you don't want your strings to be crossing. Now that you've got your strings secured to the headstock and to the bridge, you just cut off the little excess bits of the string. You can totally leave them too if you want, but I like to cut them off because it looks cleaner. I really like to cut off the parts on the end of the bridge because sometimes you can like rub against them with your arm and then it ruins your take, and then you're just sad because you have to do it again even though it was really good, but you just made a noise with the little bits of string at the bottom. Then I like to pull my finger underneath the string, pulling upwards so that I can loosen it up and get it ready to be tuned up, because they're going to be stretched out either way, you know. I like to get a little bit of that extra tension out before I start winding it on the headstock. I don't honestly know if this does much, but I just do it because it seems like it does something, maybe. And you want to make sure that none of your strings are off to the side on your saddle. And you're done. Now all that's left to do is tune it, and I think you can handle that on your own. Alright, see you later.